Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the newly released HG Gundam RX-78 Beyond Global version. Now, I was aware of this kit, but I wasn't. They only announced the kit and never really mentioned when it was going to come out. But apparently, it came out yesterday, which was a Saturday in Korea, and I finally finished building it. So, it's definitely an interesting kit. Number one, I would like to say the proportions are very different, which is why I brought out the original, well, not exactly the original, but the HG RX-78 real, the real type colors, which, yeah, this is a Prima Bandai kit, but still is exactly the same as the HG RX-78 Revive. And just for reference, I just wanted to bring out the G40 version as well, just to show you guys, like, it's really interesting to see how different people can design the RX-78 as well. Alright, so let's see what we got. So first of all, let's go over components. So I would like to mention that this thing has very simple components. So you only get the basics for, so hand-wise, you get the multi-purpose hands for left and right, so that's 2 hands. And then, other than that, you get a fully open hand for the left arm, and then a trigger finger for the right hand, which is usually going to be going onto the beam rifle. Other than that, you get a shield, definitely really based on the original RX-78 shield, but with more extra detail with these gray lines and such, and yeah, definitely much more detailed looking inner frame part compared to the rest. And then 2 beam saber effect parts, which is very typical. So meaning that we also get the typical beam saber hilts, which is obviously on the backpack of the RX-78. Alright, so let's see. Other than that, we do get stickers, but we only get 1 sticker, and that 1 sticker is the eyes. So other than the eyes, everything you see on the kit is color separated. So let's see what we got. Let me get rid of the stand, and let's bring the 2 kits out. Now, technically, I don't think we really need to do any comparisons with this G40 version, but I just wanted to bring out because of the color wise, because I believe the colors of this one should be similar as the original HG RX-78 this Revive in terms of tone, because even though this is technically based on the HG RX-78 Revive, it's just having a different color, so I just wanted to bring it out. So color wise, so the colors, while I believe the original was had much more brighter colors, this one actually has a much more toned down color. So definitely, I'm not sure what they call these type of colors, but more of a flat color. So the red is not exactly the red that we usually see in kits, but it's more of a very mild red, kind of like a pink tonish red, and then the blue is much more mild blue as well. So definitely interesting. And the yellow, I think the yellow should be pretty much the same, or a little bit more on the darker side compared to some kits as well. So I can't really say it's the exact same tone, but you get the idea. And then let's see, the proportion wise, it may feel definitely different, because number one, I believe number one is the biggest part would be the chest. Actually, I'm going to take this away actually. So here we have the chest part. I believe, well, in terms of the kit wise, originally this should have been like a single piece on the body, while this one actually, the cockpit section is actually like a separate piece, and I believe pops out a little bit more than usual. You can see the angle difference right over there as well. So the chest seems to be going outwards a little bit more. And then one thing I personally like is the backpack. I mean, technically the original clunky looking backpack was also pretty good, but this design looks pretty good as well. It definitely has a new touch into that as well. And so the top section is definitely my favorite. I really like the top section, but when you go to the legs section, it may feel a little bit awkward. So it took me a while to figure out why I'm getting this awkward feeling. Is that I think it's because of the size. The sides are much more longer and bigger, and then the front skirts are slightly smaller as far as I can tell. So, which is why we get that awkward feeling. But it also makes sense. I mean, when you consider a human, we do have large size and long size, so definitely has a more humanistic proportion as well. And I think it's okay to take that away now. So let's see what we get in terms of articulation. So let's see. I'm going to actually tone down the light a bit. Sorry about that. So here we have the eyes. The eye stickers, yeah, I think I did apply them in the correct place, but yeah, not exactly 100% correct, but still you get the eye. So you might have noticed on the head, there's no seam lines on the head, because the way how you how should I say, the way how you construct the head is like one of those helmet types where you build the inner parts and then you put the helmet on top of the kit. As much as I would like to show you guys that, the problem with that is that the V-fin part, which is the V-fin and this front section right over here and this red part is actually like the V-fin and this white section on front is a single piece, and then you put this red piece on top. So this thing actually locks into place. I really can't pull the helmet out, but yeah. Just wanted to mention how you build the head, and the Vulcans are also color separated pieces as well. And the head cameras you see would usually be a sticker is now a color separated piece, so that is very good. Articulation wise, it's pretty basic for the head. We get the neck movement right over there, and then we can go down that much and then up that much, and then being on the ball joint, 360 twist is possible. And I would like to mention this kit does not use any polycaps. There are no polycaps used, so everything you see are plastic joints. Okay, so number one of the few things that they showed was the promo pics are the body articulation, especially the chest or the ab crunch. So I thought it would move much more, but apparently not as much as I thought. So you can kind of lift the top section body up like that, so you can see the body. And yeah, I can't really say that it's much of an ab crunch, but you can see the main the body connection is a ball joint. So ab crunch, not as much as I thought, unless I'm missing out something as well, because there's actually a clipping point on the chest section, on the cockpit section, but when you apply that, it actually has a lot of movement, but I think it's just this piece actually blocking that away. So I think you can modify it to move a little bit more if you want to do so. Other than that, we do have some side-to-side movement. We can go left and right like that, so that's pretty good as well. And 360 twist, not possible because of the design. And in terms of shoulder movements, we have this movement. So we have this part which the back section actually moves outwards, so instead of like how Robot Down actually moves the front parts as well. They only move the back sections right over here. So we do have slightly range of movement, and the arms can go up a lot like that. And then this section here is actually connected as a ball joint, so 360 twist on the arm is possible as well. Of course, the shoulder armor may pop out a little bit easy because the way how you connect the arms are pretty interesting. So you don't just plug it in. So you slide them in this direction, and then you twist it, and then you lock it into place with this white piece you see, and then you put the shoulder armor on top like that. So very interesting design choice in terms of build. So yeah, and then arm articulation wise, it's pretty much what you expect. You get the double jointed bend, 360 twist on the lower section as well, and then ball jointed hand right over here. But there's one more catch to this place. So you see this part, you can kind of separate this part as well and get more wrist movement as well and twist it if you want to do so. So I guess this would also fix the Alex syndrome as well. Alright. And then let's go to the waist section. Now the waist section, yeah, is kind of smaller than I thought, but finally, well, not finally, there are some kits that do the color separation on the V symbol. Some kits do and some kits don't, so it's really hard to tell what's their criteria. But this one is a color separated piece, so no need to worry about coloring it or stickers. The front skirts, they actually come in separated pieces as well, so they actually do tell you to cut them off, so yeah. And you can see the yellow parts are all color separated pieces. Of course, because of the nature of these pieces, they are kind of on the wobbly side. And the side skirts also move as well, to the side a lot actually, so you can see that this piece is actually locking it into place. And then the back skirt also moves a bit, well, not a bit, actually a lot, so this does actually help a lot with certain poses. And the legs, the leg / side articulation is pretty interesting. So we still get the basic side swivel going on here, and then you can see the joints are actually on the hinge, so you can actually reposition the legs if you want to do so like that. So yeah, and then what you can also do is do this. You can extend the legs to go outwards, and then you can see the side, they actually have another joint here, so you can move the legs more inward like that. I think I would have preferred if it was going the other way around, but I guess you can also modify that if you want to do so. So yeah, very interesting way of articulation. So this actually does help on doing certain poses, not really Gundam related, but if you want to do a lot of other anime reference poses, this will actually help a lot, if you ask me. Other than that, we still get the basic forward movement. Of course, this part the hinge part is actually pretty stiff, so do be careful not to break it. I mean, I'm not saying break by fragileness, it's just that the connection here is very stiff, so just be careful. But either way, we can go forward that much and then backwards. Now with the back skirt moving up, we can go backwards that much as well. And as I mentioned, we can go to the side 90 degrees as well. So very nice articulation on the legs. So much more flexibility as well. And then we get a nice double jointed bend going on here. We get some knee armor as well. And the ankles, now for me the ankles are pretty hard to like control because there's no polycaps and then it's not a ball joint, so it's really hard to do the pivot. But we still have the ankle guard that moves. You have a nice toe bend, well, not exactly toe bend, let's call it a feet bend. Oh yeah, but still, yeah, we still have this separate movement going on here, and you can see how the pivot joint works. So there's a peg here, so you have to do it like manually like that. Of course, I mean, you can twist the feet as well, and then you can, the pivot is kind of stiff. Actually, this side is much more stiff. So you can see there is a pivot, but it's going to be on the stiff side. So you're going to need to do a lot of loosening up, or yeah, do the pivots a lot. Alright, so we've seen the basics. So I'll be right back with this equipment demonstration. There's not much, but there are some stuff that you need to know regarding like certain parts. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here's one of the examples of those inner thigh articulations. So you can now do the more natural looking walk pose instead of like the straight, walking pose. So if you want to do one of these type of poses, you can always do that as well. Now the beam rifle, pretty much your basic. You do get a dedicated trigger finger. Of course, the hand does not actually have any hole and peg system on it, and yet there's no actually wobbliness in the rifle. Well, maybe a little bit, but it holds on to it pretty well, so no need to worry about that. And you still do get the front handle movement as well, with the scope moving as well. And then the yellow part is obviously a color separated piece. And then the shield wise, the connection was definitely not what I expected. They're actually using a clip mechanism. So what you do is, let me take this apart. So usually the arm should be like this, but you need to separate it a little bit. You make a slight gap, and then one of the methods you can do is number one, and just clip it in, and you're good to go. And this actually holds on pretty well, so no need to worry about the shield popping out multiple times. And the shield is on a peg, so you can rotate the shield if you want to do so. And if you're not a big fan of just only clipping the shield part, what you can also do is, let me get this part out. So not having polycaps, it does actually get it will get some time to get used to posing the kit, because without any polycaps, some joints are very stiff. So what you do is, number one, you clip back on the shield onto the arm as well. There you go. And then here we have this handle. You can see there's a lot of square parts, and you can see there's 2 square holes. So you obviously use those parts one to connect onto the shield and the other onto the hand. Of course, sometimes if you're not doing it correctly, the handguard will pop out, and yeah, you have to redo it. But still, this is how it works. So if you want to use the handle, so if you don't want to have it, on the end, you can also not connecting the shield onto the arm. You can also just hold the handle with putting on the middle as well. So yeah. Alright, so I just wanted to mention that regarding the shield. So I'll be right back with the other demonstrations as well. Okay, so with those extra articulation on the wrist part, so you can actually do the double hand pose with no problem at all. It's much more easier to do compared to previous kits, and no need to worry about anything breaking at the moment. So, and you can also attach the shield onto the backpack. There's actually one hole there. Although you need to take off 2 things. Number one is, well, according to the manual, you need to take off the handle, but I think you can still pull it out with the handle still inside the shield. Of course, it has to be facing straight down, and this is the part that you clip onto the arm, so you need to take that part out, and then you can just plug it into the shield, onto the backpack, and you're good to go. So yeah, it definitely has a much more easier time on holding on to its equipment as well, and you can actually store the beam rifle onto the back skirt, which I will show you guys right now. Okay, for the final demonstration, I gave it the beam saber on its right hand and then the open hand on the left, and I stored the the beam rifle on its back skirt with the shield on the back. So, yeah. One thing I should mention is that the hands don't really hold the beam saber too tightly. You can see it's just a plugging in system, so it's something we usually see in most HG kits, so just be aware of that. And then yes, with that extra backskirt movement, we can store the beam rifle and then attach a action base with no problem at all. And despite having the beam rifle on the back, we can still store the shield. Of course, you're gonna have to rotate the shield around. So yeah, the way how you store the beam rifle is pretty simple. But I'm not sure if you guys saw it previously, but come on. On one side, there's actually a big peg on the beam rifle. You don't really fold it in; it's just there, and then you just need to plug it into the back skirt, like that. And there you go. And that's pretty much it. So I mean, if you buy this kit or if you've seen this kit, you pretty much know what to expect from an RX-78. So equipment-wise, it's got all the basics. You get a beam rifle, shield, and a beam saber set, and that's pretty much what you get for weapons. So yeah, if you know the RX-78, you should know what you're getting into. But I would highly recommend for those who are a big fan of RX-78s or love collecting the RX-78 kits, because the color separation is amazing, and number two, articulation is definitely different than other kits that we see these days. Of course, mostly the legs. And then the build. The build is definitely interesting. It was a very unique build that it was composed a lot of like building styles and parts that we usually don't see in modern kits these days. So it's definitely a unique experience to try out. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this. Of course, if you're not a big fan of the RX-70 at the first place, then obviously you're not going to be too interested. But still, if you can try this kit out, do try out. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the HG RX-78 Beyond Global version. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time!